Corporal Olson, thank you for allowing me to come into your home and interview about your experience in the Vietnam War. The first question I'd like to ask you is at what age that you joined the military?
18.
18. And what was your perspective on the world at that time? The way that you felt the world worked when you were 18 years old?
It's Disney World. It's Candyland. It's a wonderful place to play.
So, how old were you when you were deployed to Vietnam?
18.
You're 18? So, this was your first deployment then?
Right.
Okay. So, as you were traveling to Vietnam, what did you perceive to be your mission? Why Americans were going to Vietnam?
To kill the enemy.
Okay. Who was president while you were deployed?
Nixon.
Nixon? Was he president the entire time you were over there?
Yeah, pretty sure.
Okay. So, were any of the things that he said about your mission, did that stick with you?
That he said?
Yeah. Anything that he told you, or
No,
not you personally, but
nothing.
okay.
I didn't pay attention to that. I was just going to war.
Okay. So that would have been, Nixon was president between 1969 and 1974. So those were the years that you were over there?
There, yeah.
Okay. So did you have any part in the Operation Ranch Hand or the deforestation projects?
No, but my job was, I was a diver in the Army. There's only a dozen of us, and I was one of them.
Really?
And you think of the mountains and the spring, that stuff all around, and it goes down the hills and into the rivers, and then it goes into our throats and lungs. And we lived on the ocean. We lived on the rivers, 24 hours a day, 365 days a year.
Really?
There were snakes and dead bodies floating down this thing, and poop and stuff, and dead dogs. Unbelievable.
Sounds awful. So did you have any close friends while you were over there that were a part of the deforestation project?
No.
No? All right. So what was unique about Agent Orange that they used it more so than the others? I know there was Agent Blue and Agent White.
Because it worked so, it was the best thing. It worked better than anything else.
Okay, that makes sense.
Come on.
So I understand that you've suffered some negative physical effects from Agent Orange. Would you mind describing what some of those were?
PTSD.
Yes.
And well, I mean, I grew up living in It's a Wonderful Life. You know, it's like you get a good job, you find a nice girl, you marry her, you buy a house, you go on vacation, you maybe even join a bowling team, go to church and stuff, you know, and that was my dream. Then I came back from Vietnam, and I lived in my van for 20 years. 20 years. Summer, winter, spring, and fall.
Wow.
Travel around the country, just checking things out, trying to find out what's going on. When you think about that, that's 20 years of stories.
Yeah. That's my whole lifetime.
Yeah.
Wow. What kept you going, if you don't mind my asking, during those 20 years?
Curiosity.
Did you find what you were looking for with your curiosity?
I think so.
Oh, that's a good.
It says in the book of Ecclesiastics, Solomon was the richest king of all times, and He did everything he wanted to do. He had maid servants, manservants. He had camels. He had horses. He had just and everything was vanity.
Mhm.
That's what he came up with. Vanity means nothing. The only one thing that matters in this life is we obey God's words and we love the Lord with all our hearts and soul. That's the only reason why we're here. There's no other reason other than that.
Amen.
God, Jesus says, uh, "Seek first the kingdom of heaven, and everything else will be given to you." Get that straight first, and then go after the stuff that's of the world. Don't do it the other way around because you're never gonna find it.
Yeah.
Never. You're looking for something that doesn't exist, but it's everywhere. It's like why is God so invisible to some people? Because He's everywhere. He's in that flower. He's in that tree. He's in that branch. He's in that hand. He's everywhere.
Mhm.
That's why He's so aloof because He's not hiding.
Right.
Jeez.
Yeah. He's constantly trying to get our attention.
Yeah, it's crazy. It's wonderful, but it's crazy we don't take it. We don't do anything about it.
Yeah.
So that was worth it.
Yeah.
Looking at it because I wrote a book. I'll give it to you before you leave.
Awesome.
It tells a lot of the stories about what's going on.
I would love to see that.
Yeah. Okay. Can I read a poem to you?
Absolutely.
I know them by heart, so I'll just tell it to you. He moves at his own pace and in his own time, through his own space and in his own mind. He creates what he wants and decides what is good. He made the trees right out of wood. I know that he loves me, but why I don't know. But he tells me he does, so I know it is so. When I die, I hope that I'll be close to God who made all things, even little old me.
That is a beautiful poem. All right. So, most historians agree that the Tet Offensive was the point of the war that things really they call it the turning point. What did you see as a turning point, or was there a turning point?
I didn't see a turning point.
Okay.
That's for the turning point when Nixon committed Nixon um, bombed Hanoi. That's to me that was
So earlier you were mentioning the effect that Nixon's fumble had on the war.
yeah.
Do you mind telling a little bit about that?
His fumble
Yeah. With the
Watergate.
yeah.
Oh yeah. Well, he lost his credibility. We weren't going to. We didn't get the okay to bomb Hanoi. We had to. If he hadn't done what he did, he would have still had his authority as a president to do what he was doing before they I mean, the airplanes and stuff were still there. I mean, you could fly a B-52 around the entire world and without it landing. I mean, they can do all kinds of stuff. It's
Yeah.
like that's just something. The B-52 attack. That's an amazing thing to see. It's unbelievable.
Wow.
It would wipe out this entire town right here, one sweep, boom. There wouldn't be a living thing up there recognizable.
Wow. Or what would you say would be the effect of Nixon losing his credibility? Did that change how
Oh
the
yeah,
rest of
change everything,
right?
everything. It made the Vietnamese people, the North Vietnamese people, stick in that little village.
Mm.
If Nixon had come and dropped one bomb, they would have ran back to the other side. But it's like just little. Let's give it a little try. Let's give it a try.
Yeah.
That would have been going on forever. It probably would have been going on still today. One here, one there, but it wouldn't be anything big.
Mm-hmm. Yes. Very interesting. So, when you're leaving Vietnam, did you feel like you had gotten your mission accomplished while you were there?
No,
No? Why not?
I didn't know what my mission. My mission was just to keep my friends alive. That was the only mission I had. I didn't have anything else to do but that.
Okay. So was that uh, a frustrating thing to go home with that feeling that you didn't accomplish?
Well, what happened was my mother died the day I got home.
Oh my goodness, I'm so sorry.
Yeah, I didn't even know she was sick.
Oh my gosh.
Held that for me. He went into the hospital and she was tubes up, both the pressure removed, tubes up and down her body. And she looks at me and she goes, "Donnie, look what they did to me."
Oh
I
my.
turned around, I burst into tears, and ran out the room and came back and she was dead.
Oh, that's awful.
Yeah, it was pretty bad.
Wow, I'm so sorry.
It's okay. She's in a better place now. I'll see her again someday.
It's good to have that peace.
Yeah. Peace that surpasses all understanding.
Amen. Is there anything that you would have done differently during your time in Vietnam, either uh, with people you knew or the types of activities you were part of?
Not really.
No?
Took it as it came.
Took it as it came?
As I said, there was 12 of us, and we lived on a houseboat, like something like this house here. And we floated down the rivers, and we did jobs, and we took helicopter rides to different places, and we trying to do this or that. What happened was the, the Navy has divers in it, and the only reason why the Army has divers in it because the Navy would tantalize the Army. So we'll give us your divers if you give us this, you know. So it's only, I mean, you have a big, enormous unit of thousands and thousands and thousands of people,
Hmm.
and there's rivers and rivers and rivers all over the place.
Yeah.
You got to have, if you're the Army, the biggest military thing there is, you have to have a couple of divers to do something. Something's going to happen sooner or later. It happened a lot. Every day there was 3 or 4 calls on the radio. Send a team here, send a team here. We need body job, body recovery, and
Wow.
explosives and construction and salvage and whatever was needed. You know,
Yeah. Was that a difficult job?
pitch black, go like that in in your bedroom, turn off all the lights, and that's what it's like.
Wow.
Total, total. You go by feel. You don't go by.
Wow.
We used to go down without a mask on because you have to clear your ears,
Hmm.
which means you blow every 8 feet. You blow like that, and your ears go pop.
Oh,
And it's easier to do that without a mask on.
right.
And so you just go like that. And you go around. You didn't wear flippers. You had sneakers, and you walk along the bottom with you'd be weighted down with all kinds of weights and stuff. And
Wow.
there's 3 different tides. There's low tides, slack tide, and high tide. And slack tide is just like mirrored. There's no movement at all.
Hmm.
That's when the serious. That's when the serious jobs. That's when everybody got scared a little bit because you use that time to attack.
Wow.
There was people that blew up this bridge while we were there, and there was a Vietnamese diver that he came in with a snorkel, and he came with a bunch of weeds, and he had a tire tube on his right and a tire tube on his left, weighted down with the exact buoyancy of the explosives he was carrying.
Hmm.
And he put a charge there, and he put a charge there on the pier, and then he continued floating down, and he set these things off at the same time, and these big columns blew up in the air, and they because of the weight, and they slid down, and they blew up the bridge.
Oh.
We had to get it back together again, and they were trying constantly. We had to fire our guns at the weeds all the time because lots of times there were people in the weeds
Hmm.
hiding, ready to blow us up. I remember one time there was this Vietnamese nurse. She was a woman. She was wedged in between when the boats go downstream. They can part like that, you know, because of the current.
Hmm.
So she went. She was. Well, that was a big explosion. Let's check it out. We went over there, and she was. She was still alive, and they took her away. And
Wow.
that's,
So how did your participation in the war impact your life afterwards? I know you've talked a little bit about that. Is there anything else you would want to share about that?
well, changed everything.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, everything. It made me doubt everything. It's a question mark to everything. It's like you're gonna tell me this is real. This is happening. How do you know?
Yeah.
I thought the same thing, but then now I know I don't. I know I don't know. I know everything. How do you know that I'm wrong? How do I know that you're right? I'm not. I don't make any judgment calls on anything anymore. I don't have an opinion on anything except Jesus. That's the only thing I believe in. After that, everything. This could be an illusion for all we know.
Yeah.
Heck of an amazing illusion, but it could be.
Yeah. Yeah, that could. It's hard to discern what's really happening these days.
Right. It leaves a question mark in everybody's head, I'm sure.
Were you deployed again after returning from Vietnam?
I went back for another 6 months because they threatened to send me to Korea,
Oh.
the second hardship tour. They called it. I didn't know. First off, Korea, it's cold there. They're going to be a diver. I don't want to be a diver in the cold weather. All my
Right.
friends were there and stuff like that. And I knew what was going on. There's a question marks of what I was going to do. So I just went for another 6 months. Then I had like about 2 weeks to go before I went home, and that's when my mother called me for emergency leave, and went to see her in the hospital.
It's like a very difficult time.
Oh, it was.
So when did you retire from the army? And
I was
why?
only there in it for 3 years.
3 years? And
1970, I guess.
okay. And what were your reasons for retiring? Yeah.
You walk outside, there's going to be a gunfight. You're going to go outside and do that?
Nope. Yeah. Yeah. I can imagine that being very.
And going down the rivers, you go down the rivers, people take pot shots at you. It doesn't need to be an attack. There's just one guy with a gun. He just shoots at you. One time that happened, and I'd gone to Hong Kong on leave, and I bought myself a cheap tape deck, very expensive, nice piece of, a really very nice tape recorder.
Okay.
And I brought it back to the barge. I should have sent it home, but I brought it back to the barge to play songs. And
Mhm.
but he shot into one bullet, and it went right into my tape deck. And
Oh.
I got a funny story for you.
Okay.
I bought a really expensive portable radio. It cost like $300. It had bands, where you can listen to,
Mhm.
And my friend and I were on a hill. Put the radio up on above our heads, and we went to sleep.
Mhm.
So I woke up the next morning, and I'm going to my friend. I go, boy, that doesn't sounds really crappy.
Uh-oh.
So we looked up, and somebody had switched the radios on us. The little dinky $3
Oh.
radio, and they went like this, and it was on the same channel and everything.
Oh.
Like geez.
Wow.
Can't believe somebody did that to me. If I had a reason to get to go back to Vietnam, that would be the reason to find that guy.
Oh, that is a funny story. Wow.
I can't believe he did that. It was crazy.
Are there any other stories that you would want to tell?
I have to think about it.
Okay.
Maybe like one comes to me, I'll let you know.
Okay. Well, came to the end of my questions. So,
Okay.
I I want to thank you for being willing to do this interview and having it recorded. And I will definitely give you a copy of the paper that I write, and if you want it, or I will make sure that you get a copy of the video too. And then whatever you want to do with it is up to you, and I will just give it to my professor and nobody else will see it.